Welcome everyone to 911 Real Estate. Today we have a couple of special guests that really doesn't need introduction. Lindsey and Michael over here. Michael is, you wanted to make sure we say that he's a French mechanical engineer.
I say that because I married him for his accent. People
Right.
So I'm dual citizen. Half French.
He lost some of his charm when he got his citizenship.
There you go.
Not so much an engineer anymore. It's my first life, I guess.
First life. And Lindsey over here is a DO, doctor, physician, ER, East Coast director. Now they both balance their marriage, multiple kids, and their real estate journey. We're going to hear about today, how they went from zero to doing a BRRRR strategy to now over 600 units. We're already partnered in a few deals, right, and we're going to be partnered in multiple deals in the future, no doubt about that. But today we're going to hear about their journey. And it's an amazing journey. We're excited. So thank you everyone for being here. Michael and Lindsey, why don't you guys take over from here?
Thanks for coming, everybody. I see my brother's on the call, who's also in real estate, and I just saw his cat's butt walk by that computer screen. All right, so I made this PowerPoint last night between 10 and 11 p.m. Can't say I even remember what's all on here, and Michael, it's going to be a surprise for you too. So we'll get going here.
Hey, I was aware of the meeting of 2 days ago from Alex.
So that was it. Yeah, before we get into it, that was a really fun conversation. I'm at work, clinically at the hospital. I get a text saying, oh, I guess we're presenting something this weekend, huh? I was like, look, it's been on the refrigerator calendar in our kitchen for 3 weeks, so it's right.
We have refrigerator calendar battles at home too.
But Michael found out about this meeting today through the MIH Facebook chat, so he gets a lot of our life information and our schedule through sources other than me, so that's okay. So the bio, yeah, we're coming up to that, but I used what Alex and Eric said, partners in life to powerhouses in real estate. I don't know, we'll call ourselves that, but yeah, we have done a lot. And since I met him 11, 12 years ago now.
11?
Over a decade.
Yeah.
You're still with me somehow. So just disclaimer, we are not claiming to be experts by any means. We learn new things absolutely every single day. We're not CPAs, we're not lawyers, but we have done a lot. We've learned a lot through mistakes, trial and error. We do have a lot to share, but yeah, we're learning from you guys every day too. So myself, Alex mentioned, I am a physician. I am a practicing physician. I do 50% clinical and 50% admin. I'm the regional director for a couple different hospitals in a health system in Pennsylvania here. So I like medicine. I worked a long time to get my medical license. I'm never going to give it up, but real estate has allowed me to do this more on my own terms. And I definitely have the leverage. If I get too mad at my work someday, I can say I'm done here and I can focus more on real estate. So that's a good thing. So my part, we joke that I'm more the front end. I like to sign us up for podcasts like this. And I like to talk to people, do webinars, write books with some people. I like to find deals, negotiate deals. And then once we buy them and get them under contract, I give these terrible properties that need to be BRRRR'd over to my husband. And then I usually don't go back to the property until I get the after pictures. And then again, post them on Facebook and stuff. And Michael's really the workaholic on the day-to-day here, but you can introduce yourself if you want.
Sure. So as Alex, you mentioned, my first life, I was born and raised in France, in a beautiful area called the Loire Valley, which is about 2 hours south of Paris. If you have ever been there or not been there, it's famous for castle and king history. So most of the kings in the medieval / Renaissance time used to live in my area. Actually, I realized going back to France a couple of years ago that I used to work for my dad's restaurants, and his restaurants was against the castle of Amboise. And I realized that for 5 summers, I walked right in front of the tower where Leonardo da Vinci was buried. So he worked his last 2 years of his life, he used to work for the King of France, Francois I. So that's to tell you a little bit of the history in my area. It's very green.
Rich culture compared to Pennsylvania.
It's a very green area, a lot of wine everywhere, and again, a lot of castles. So I grew up in that environment, working for my parents' restaurants, small business owners. Decided not to follow their path, not to spend all my as we will see later, there's a chart where we see the cash flow quadrant. When you're on the left side as an employee, self-employed, you trade your time for money, and that's what I saw from my parents. So I decided to do something different, became an engineer, worked a few years as an engineer in France. I had the opportunity when I was 27 to move to the US for an international assignment. It was a great experience. I renewed the contract for a couple of years, and at that time, 6 months before going back to France, I met with Lindsey, and that's how my second life really started.
We met online on OkCupid. There was nothing exciting about how we met. Some people think, oh, they probably met at the Eiffel Tower or something. Now he sent me a message when he was half drunk on OkCupid one night, and I was like, I'll go out with a French guy. So that's how we met.
That's how you meet doctors, by the way.
He played his game well.
So that's how the second life started. And back in 2018, when we had our first kid, Lindsey was working.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay, all right. So
see, he doesn't know the PowerPoint presentation. So
all right.
So just know Michael misses his beautiful, rich life in France. He went from Paris to Philadelphia to Central PA. We're talking about going into corn mazes and pumpkin picking today. So it is a separate life.
So very quickly then, 2018, that's where the real estate journey started for me, transition from the mechanical engineering.
It's one of our real estate deals calling him right now.
And then, so I've been full-time real estate for the last 6 years, started with small rehabs on single family to now managing larger heavy lift multifamily properties and being on asset management calls for all our investments.
That's right. I again mentioned I also wrote some books. There's some people in here that are in this book too. Eric and Alex are in the male version. Michael has a chapter. I think it's really great to share everybody's stories here. That's what these two are at. You can get them on Amazon. And we also, my partner Lauren Zaminsky, I don't think she's on the call today, but we also coach at Mindshift to Millions, and our website is cloverkeycapital.com. We've already told this story, but this was a throwback picture that I found way back from Philadelphia, pre-kids, definitely a different life, but we only had 2 pugs at the time. After a couple of years, quick story, when we first met the very first year, I told Michael that in the United States, the boyfriends get girls a rabbit at Easter time. So we also had a rabbit that's not shown in our wedding picture. I didn't think that was appropriate to take to our wedding, but the dogs were in our wedding. Michael mentioned we had our first kid. This is baby Luca. That also feels like a different lifetime ago. He's the one babysitting our other 2 kids upstairs right now. He's 7. So when we had our first kid, we really had to make a decision. Okay, I didn't want my kid in daycare full time, but I also was working 80 hours a week as a resident in the hospital. So I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom, nor am I stay-at-home mom material. God bless all the mothers who are. But Michael made the decision to quit his engineering job, which was a really big thing for you to go from having a really high paid mechanical engineer job to being a stay-at-home dad for a year. This is a real picture of my medical student loans. I owed over $200,000 through med school. So we were definitely in the negative at that point of our career. So at that time, Michael read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the gateway book for a lot of people, I'm sure, on this call. And this is really what changed our mindset. It really was a mindset shift into real estate. And this is how we got into it. Nobody in my family had been doing real estate investing up to that point. Although my brother bought his first real estate property prior to us, actually, but we weren't taught this in college, medical school, or anything like that. So we started learning about the difference between assets versus liabilities. You want to talk about that?
Yes, I guess that's the main concept of the books from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you want to own assets and reduce your liabilities, it's very basic.
My $230,000 of med school loan was definitely a liability. We had bought a primary house at the time, which ended up being our first accidental rental, but we knew nothing about real estate investment up until that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here again, the cash flow quadrant, which I mentioned earlier, to me, that was the best book from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's two concepts. That one was, if you're on the left side of the quadrant, being an employee or self-employed, you trade your time for money. The other concept to me, which was really a big mind shift at the time, was, again, on the left side, basically you earn income, you get tax on it, and then you get to spend the rest. On the other side, you make an income, you try to expense everything you can, and whatever is left, that's what you get taxed on. As a team and partnership in life, and in real estate, we worked in all those quadrants. Lindsey, as a doctor, she's obviously an employee. Me, I have an e-commerce business as well, and the real estate situation. At least for the active projects that I manage, I'm between the self-employed and business owner category. And then we also invest passively into syndications, so as an investor. So we use each side of the quadrant to maximize or optimize our taxes. So we use a lot of for instance, the cost depreciation benefits to offset the active income that we're getting through our own real estate portfolio. And sometimes we're able to use that to also offset Lindsey's income, because I'm, again, full-time real estate, active real estate professional. So you can transform those passive rental income or losses, let's say paper losses, through the depreciation, and use that to offset active income. So Lindsey.
Yeah, I love this quote by Robert Kiyosaki, and again, he's the guy that wrote the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and obviously this cash flow quadrant book. But most people fail to realize that in life, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And for me, who makes very good salary as an employed physician, I can work more moonlighting shifts, but we're taxed at the highest tax bracket. So with Michael having the real estate professional status, last year was the first time we got an actual tax refund, which was amazing as a physician. And this year too, we finally just filed our taxes. We very much succumbed years ago that we'll never file on time again. But
yeah, and I will say it's almost at the core of our investment strategy at this point, where we really pick the next properties or investment based on how much tax deduction we'll potentially
cost seg we can get back.
And I know, Alex, you're really
amen to that.
Yeah, so our education will hopefully fly through our background here, our story, but we started real estate investing in March 2019, and this was a receipt I dug up. This was in Scranton, PA. It was a 3-day real estate summit. This was a big mindset shift also. In France, at least back when Michael was there, they really didn't use credit cards. Like the concept of leverage wasn't there. So this was a good thing, at least for you, to learn, wow, we can actually use good debt to expand our portfolio. So the concept of good debt versus bad debt was probably one of the best things we learned from this educational seminar. Anybody that knows me knows I am a crazy go-getter. When I get my mind put to something, Michael just has to hang on for the ride here. So I immediately went up and signed us up for some real estate local meetups. This was the literal check picture that we bought our first 2 investment properties. We paid this guy that we found at a local meetup $5,000 total for 2 investment properties in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, 2 single-family homes. And we bought them March 25th, 2019. We got a cheap bottle of champagne. This was the keys to the 2 houses and our, at the time, poorly done business cards.
Now, I just wanted to make sure this is like cash for the house.
This was cash. This was the check.
It wasn't like a loan. That was the house.
This was
That's awesome.
2 houses. This was
2 houses. Sorry about that.
$5,000. Yeah, this was the check we gave this guy. Went to the magistrate, signed over the deed. That was it. Like the houses were, we bought them sight unseen. We knew nothing.
2 houses and 1 squatter family.
2 houses and a squatter family.
There
and
you go.
Now that's good negotiations.
So,
What can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
Everything went wrong. Everything, the title of this, like disasters, right? So we had not seen these properties, right? We are trusting investors, trusting people. Probably one of our downfalls, a couple lessons we learned there through life and still learning about being not so trusting. Trust but verify. It's my new motto. Doing background checks on everybody like Alex. That's one great thing I learned from Alex. So we literally drove up to these properties. There was like food bags, bike on the porch, and we're like, this does not look like an empty house that we were told it was. So we knocked on the door. I hear, Mom, people are here. And we're like, what the hell? So we go in, we're like, hey, we just bought this house. Like we were told nobody's here. Like this picture on the right, this is actually pretty sad. That little scribbled out face, that's a kid. This was, people were like literally in this house. I didn't put up the pictures of the cut pipes, the overflowing toilets, there were urine bottles because the landlord didn't tell us. He cut the pipes trying to get these people out. There was no electricity, nothing, no running water, absolutely horrible. The picture on the left, this was after the contractor, before he stole our money and left, started to clean up terrible places. So this is what we got into. This is what one of the $2,500 houses.
Yeah, I will say, and now we do a lot of heavy lifting. Now I'm not scared anymore by trash. And actually, for for the records, the two houses, when we brought the contractor, which was a local guy and used to the properties there, he said you actually got lucky. The two properties are in fairly good shape structurally.
This town is a very D-class, like drug-filled town. Like every other house is basically demolished. This was built, it's a coal town, like from the 1800s. There's a lot of very poor properties. I will say, since we bought these in 2019, as we renovated them and gone back, because we owned them up until last 2023, we sold both of these, but the town has redeveloped much better compared to when we first bought them. But in any case, we had, again, trusting. We paid a contractor upfront, all cash, without a contract for the contractor, because we had no mentors. We had no idea what the heck we were doing. He still literally has a warrant out. We'll never get the money back, basically, end of story. But we, between Michael learning everything about rehabs, thank God for YouTube. I had a nail go through my knee as I'm like ripping up carpet on one of these stairs. That was probably my last active rehab part. I think I painted some doors since then, but I don't get involved very actively on the day-to-day rehabs. But we turned these into burrs, right? So that was the picture of one of the living rooms. This was the after. This was our very first real estate project, our very first burr. We, like I said, we rented them out. These ended up being like really cash cows for a couple of years we had them. We didn't learn our lesson. We decided to get a duplex. Up until, well, this summer, this was the only house we bought on the MLS. It was listed, again, a duplex. This is the picture of it, top right. It was listed for $35,000. I was like, I'll give you $20,000 cash. And the realtors, again, this was older prices. Like everything's gone up, even in Shenandoah. But they accepted the offer. Again, we bought it sight unseen, other than the MLS pictures. We put $10,000 into rehab. After picture on the bottom, obviously you can tell our color scheme. Michael has a Home Depot Pro card, so we get a lot of the same stuff for pretty cheap. But that was a picture of us buying our second investment property. God bless Michael. He not only did he learn how to rehab things, he also learned how to change sewer pipes. I mentioned that these houses, these row homes, were really built in a coal mining town in the 1800s. The pipes, they were clay pipes. So the tenant called us and they're like, hey, we have sewage backing up in our basement. We're like, we don't know anything about sewage or pipes, but that doesn't sound good. Michael, you can tell the story if you want about it.
Yeah, I mean,
this situation.
The story, as she mentioned, it's an old mining town. So all the townhouses were basically laid out by the mining companies. And in that specific case, the sewer line will go through the back garden and below the next row of houses, which could be a problem if the sewer line get blocked under the other houses where we don't have access to. But anyway, I got a plumber coming in. He basically identified where the blockage was in the garden. Prime, I could not bring any tools to dig, so I went with one guy. We digged. It's a weird feeling to dig a hole that big.
I told everybody at the time, this hole literally was like 8 feet by 4 feet by 6 feet down. I'm like, if I go missing, I am buried in Shenandoah.
Did you dig that with that little shovel right there?
Yeah, by hand. No,
not but 20.
Yeah.
It happened 2 times. Michael had to dig holes in the backyard and change a pipe by himself.
So again, it's a little weird to dig a hole that it could be your grave. And then at some point you open the pipe and then you have everything.
Michael, they hit the pipe with the shovel and you just see it start filling the hole with the sewer pipe.
Anyway, we fixed it. The first time I was with a guy that helped me dig. The second time he didn't want to come back.
I'm not going back there.
So I did it twice, fixed based on the plumber's recommendation, and I was like, we need to sell those houses.
I'm not doing it a third time.
Because you can see in the picture, the picture on the right, basically the hole will go under the next house. So
these
whatever was after.
Of townhouses, you could not get any machinery back other than this little red thing. So if the pipe was clogged further down, it was literally underneath those other houses that we don't own. So we got out before any third sewer pipe burst, but we ended up making a lot of money. Like I said, the cash flow was a lot through the years that we owned them. For being such a bad neighborhood, Michael, from the beginning, got some really good processes in place for screening tenants. So I'll say we got lucky with what they were and where they were for the years we had them.
I think we had a good run and it was time to go, because there's so long you can be lucky in that area and with this type of properties. But the lesson that we were able to burn on properties, I think they were appraised, the small townhouses that we bought 2,500, they were appraised 30K. So you can do a burr with on a very small amount.
Yeah, I think, that is a good lesson because people think you need so much money. And again, prices have gone up, but it's still there in this area of Pennsylvania where we live. There's a lot of opportunities to buy houses in these type of towns for very cheap, and you can make a lot of money, but they are risky.
So we were about 25,000. I forgot the numbers now, but we were about $22,000 in between the purchase and the rehab, and they were priced around 30. So we got about 100% of our money back when you account for the 70-75%. So we did that at a very small scale, but it works at a very small scale, and we use that for the next one.
And we did that strategically too, because while we're making a good amount of money as a physician salary, we also had no idea what we were doing. So we figured, okay, if we lose 2,500, if we lose, which we did, the money to the contractor, it's not going to kill us for life. But holy cow, the lessons that we learned on these properties about screening tenants, just rehabs in general, so many skills that you learned, that as we started doing these like direct mail campaigns coming forward, you know so much about, like, you can build a house now. So once we got through those first 4 burrs, we started thinking more about leverage, the all cash purchase versus leverage purchases. If you buy one house for $100,000, you have one tenant, you're all in for all of that, versus if you buy 5 houses for $20,000 down, your total cash flow of the month is actually going to be more. Your cash on cash is going to be higher. You're having 5 times the appreciation benefits, 5 times the tax benefits. Michael already mentioned that's a huge part of our strategy now. You're diversifying. If there's a fire or a tenant leaves, you're not 100% not occupied. This is when we started thinking, okay, maybe multifamily is better. Again, this is before we did any partnerships or anything, but this is really a strategy of why we do multifamily pretty much exclusively now and industrial going forward. At the time, we had those 4 properties. We started using Prop Finder. We still use Prop Finder every single day in one way or the other. And I started doing some direct mail campaigns. We started getting some single family houses in a much nicer area. This is about 15 minutes from where our primary house is. It's called Harvey's Lake. We had one guy reach out to us from Florida. He's, hey, I live in Florida now. I have this fully renovated house. I just don't want it. We ended up buying it for $126,000, fully furnished. These are really the pictures. We could have put it on the MLS that day. All we did was change carpets upstairs into some laminate flooring. That's it. And it got appraised for $300K. Like right there.
Okay.
Wow.
It got appraised. No, the story is a little more. We got appraised 2 years later.
Yeah, it wasn't the same day.
But the problems the seller had, and at the end of the day, if you're able to solve someone's problems, that's where you make the money. And here he tried to sell it twice, it failed twice. And the thing was, one, the appraised value was too high, so the tax were too high for people to qualify.
And it was in a flood zone.
It was in a flood zone, so people between the high tax and the flood cost, which was, people mostly look at the FEMA insurance, which is completely ridiculous. And actually, we made the mistake. We didn't really pay attention to the flood when we bought it. Luckily, we were able to secure private flood insurance.
This is a huge learning point. Yeah.
So that was one thing we fixed with the flood, and the second was the tax. And so we went back to the tax assessor, and I think it was appraised at $285, and based on the purchase price, but also on the comps, I was able to have them change it to $160, the assessed value. So the tax went down a lot, the flood insurance went down a lot, and we were able to buy the property for way cheaper than what it's really worth. And then the pandemic happened.
Those laws had just changed at the time too, because up until that point, I think the year before, you had to use FEMA, which was super expensive. But the law changed where banks could not give you the loan if you use private flood insurance. So we saved a ton of money that way. And Michael literally, like, a lot of people, oh, we're going to challenge taxes, get a lawyer, which, yeah, if it's some big multifamily, absolutely. But Michael made this beautiful packet. We went, and the judge was even like, I've never seen a packet so nice, even from lawyers. And he's like, so what price do you want? And we didn't know that day, but when we finally got the reassessed value, it was exactly the value that Michael asked for. It was good.
That's awesome.
So anyway, yeah, like I said, 2 years later, we went to the bank. We got a HELOC obtained. So we use this in and out for some other rehab projects as we need to. And we're still cash flowing really nicely on this place. These are 2 other ones. These were off market from actually an agent who had bought them with her husband. And they basically didn't do anything. They were in over their head, and we ended up buying them for very cheap. We got both of them for 86,000
and 94.
94,000. So both of these houses, the top left and the bottom, we had been using one set of contractors at that time, which he basically lost employees one by one. And then this was during the pandemic. God bless him, his family had some really bad COVID cases. Anyway, halfway through the project going into winter, on that bottom right house, it was completely stripped to the studs. All that shingle on the outside ended up being asbestos. There were termites. The whole thing was gutted. At one point you could see from the basement up to the attic, like all 3 floors, and it was covered by plastic, and we had no contractor going into winter. That thing sat without anything going on for about a year as we worked on other projects, but they were full gut jobs. At the end of the day, this is what they look like. We still own these properties. Again, this is prior to any partners. This is just Michael and I not knowing what we're doing and learning along the way. They're really cute houses, actually. This one we got from a direct mail campaign. It was a guy from New York. Again, we bought this sight unseen. Clearly we're not learning lessons all the time, but we bought it for $20,000, again, cash, 4 units. It was how many square feet? 4,200?
Something like that.
Yeah, the really big building, actually. This is what it looked like inside, right? So here we go again, not good. I don't have the picture. The one, there was like some grass growing in the front, mold everywhere, like absolute complete gut job renovations. But again, this is what they look like afterwards. They're really cute. We still own this too. At the end of the day, we went and we got a refinance on this property. Again, BRRRR methods for all these. We got 118% cash out. We still own it. Probably over 1,500 a month cash flowing now, right?
No, the rents are 4,500, but the property probably worth around 350.
Yeah. So at the time when it was appraised, again, this was like 2 years ago. It's definitely gone up since then, but it's a really nice property. Tons of money we're getting in every month. It's great. This is probably our best.
One thing I remember, it was early morning, the day we were probably still in bed, and you talked to the guy, and I think the guy was in the previous owner had abandoned the project. It was a guy from New York. He was probably over 100K in the building.
Yeah.
And she threw a number the guy was like, make me an offer. She threw a number. I thought that was ridiculous. I was
annoyed. I was literally like waking up in bed. He's like, I don't know, just give me a number. I'm like, I don't know, $20,000. He's like, all right. And I was like, shit, really? I was like, what are we buying here?
And this 5K a unit, and she threw 20K. I was like, there's no way this guy's gonna accept that. And he was like, okay.
Look at it. It was a great purchase. The lake house that we got for 126,000. I remember I was negotiating that at work too. So again, this is the fun part for me. I love to
let everyone know that this is still in the United States. This is not like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Most people on this call are probably shocked by the prices, but it shows you what hard work and perseverance can really get you. So great work, guys.
This one also a direct mail campaign. We had sent the direct mail out. It was like June. We heard back from this guy right above this car here, Chuck, about 3 months later, something in October. Obviously this is during the pandemic. We're wearing masks here. So this was a 10 unit. 8 of the 10 units were rented at the time, but they were underrated. They were very dated, like brown shag carpet, like brown paneled stuff in the kitchen and all over the place. And 2 of them were full gut job renovations in the basement. You can see the top right and bottom left. Michael, this is again before we had good contracting teams in place, he completely renovated.
No, so the top apartments I did, the 2 at the bottom.
Yeah, not these.
When we switch to the new contractors we are using.
So some of the brown shag carpets, like he renovated some of those apartments completely himself. And then the bottom ones, this is how we actually got our current contracting team. That is absolutely amazing. This was the first time we used them. So actually this deck in the back, this was the first thing that we changed. And this is just a point here. Make sure you get quotes, because we got an initial quote from some contractors that said, oh, we'll redo the back deck all like wood. And what was the quote? It was like $40,000. We're like, yeah, no. So then we used contractors from the city of Wilkes-Barre, and they quoted up, it was like.
So the story, I went to the code inspector in Wilkes-Barre and I could not find anyone to redo that suspended concrete there.
And this was a safety issue. This was the main access point for 2 of the back tenants, so it had to be fixed.
So the code enforcer, and they try not to advise people because it's
conflict of
interest, but they gave me a name of contractor, and they have been our main contractor since, and the guys did it for $6,500.
So $6,500 versus
almost
$40,000.
a month to repair it. I don't know how they made money on it, but since we have been using them, they did the 2 apartments at the bottom.
Yeah, this was their work. The redone apartments. They're great. We ended up, again, Burr went back to the bank. I know a lot of you have heard this story in some way or the other, but we ended up getting 275% of our cash out. Literally, we got a check. So we bought this property for $250,000. The bank loaned us some money to do part of the construction rehab, which is a great point too. You don't have to have all the cash yourself. The banks will. Did they finance 100% of the construction at that time, or was it?
No, because I underestimated how much it would actually cost to make 2 brand new apartments. So we had a little bit of construction loan. The rest was either my labor for the top apartments, and then we added some cash on top of that. But the returns were still amazing.
Yeah, we got a check for $301,000, and if anybody doesn't know, when you do a refinance on a property, that check is not taxed, right? So $301,000, that was more than I had made that year after taxes for my whole physician salary. And we did that in 20 months on this property, which is, and we still own it to this day. Great property, cash flows, you know, a bunch, infinite returns, and this thing is definitely worth over 770 at this point today. So really great buy.
I think one of the, again, it was 2020 during the pandemic, end of this, I think it was December 2020, and the guy, if you remember at the time in the medias, everybody was talking about people will not pay the rents. People will not pay the rents. And he was 72, maybe something like that. I think he got scared of having no one's paying the rents and not be able to retire on this property. So we were able to secure the price again. It's crazy. We went from 5K a unit to 25K a unit, but it's still, we steal the property pretty much. I think the guy probably feels bad about selling it at this price now. But
yeah, of course.
He didn't have the vision of transforming it.
Well,
He didn't have the cash to do
that's
it.
part of it too. The guy owned it, but he didn't fix it, right? So yes, we did everything, and the whole building is like new now, but we did that work to get those increased rent prices, right? So so many people we talk to, they're like, oh, you could make this and rent it. Yeah, then you do it. You take the time, you find the contractors, and you do the work, but they don't want to do that.
And I think a lot of old landlords, they don't understand the concept of the value based on the NOI.
Yeah.
So they don't understand what's the point to add value to the property to reach the higher rents. And
yeah, a lot of these mom and pop owners, they would rather keep it low, knowing that they're keeping their tenants in there because they're scared that somebody's going to leave, and then they don't want to do the work to update it. But that's where we see the value, right? And this is why I love this slide: natural appreciation versus forced appreciation. Natural, year over year, the average inflation is 3.8% a year. Obviously, that's been much higher since COVID and everything. And home values, again, on average, increased 4.2% a year. And that's just, this was actual data from the government since like the 1950s. Again, home values have increased more with inflation in the last couple of years. But where we make our money on these properties, whether it's multifamily that we want, JVs that we're doing now, or the ones that we're still finding solo, because we still do buy things just ourselves, like the 6 unit we just closed on 3 weeks ago, it's the forced appreciation. So we're taking these buildings that are undervalued, we renovate them, and then we increase the rents to market. So that's the top one. We decrease operating expenses. So many of these people that we buy from, they're paying the electric, they're paying the heating and gas. So we're taking these units and we're converting a lot of them to electric baseboard heat, and then we put it to the tenants. You can talk about the one that we just did with Christina, who's on the call, my brother, and Ryan Podak. And what did you do with the sub-meters that you bought online?
Yeah, I mean,
this is a cool
when I looked at a small multifamily, the first thing is who is paying all the utilities. And if utilities are not separated, most of the time it just doesn't make sense. The deal doesn't make sense, at least to our level. Or if you have the options to switch that to the tenants, and that's, so the 8plex were finalizing here the renovation, the water is 1 water line per building coming in, and we are adding submeters that are, we attach them to the pipe. We don't even have to cut the pipe. It's a new technology, and it works with, so it sends the information to whatever a server somewhere. And now we're able to, we are about to the 4 apartments of each building for their own consumption. So I'm really focusing on minimizing the expenses. So I'm trying to clear every utilities and rebill to the tenants, or having them pay directly. That's how, again, you optimize your NOI, you create value in the buildings, and you are in position to to do the BRRRR strategy successfully.
Yeah, you can put in washer and dryer, again, increasing the NOI. We have a 17-unit JV student housing in Scranton, which is right in front of my hospital's medical school. We have paid washers and dryers in there. Vending, we don't have anything with vending machines, but that's an option. Parking, some areas that are in towns and parking's at a premium, you can pay for parking spaces. Pet fees, which we do, cleaning fees. There's a lot of things that you can increase the NOI. It all adds up. And on these multifamily 5+ units, if you increase the NOI, this is getting more money that you can go back to the bank and get more on a refi, and make sure you manage wisely. That is also number one, whether it's a single family or a big multifamily, you need to value your tenants. You need to screen them properly, or this beautiful building that you've just redone is going to get destroyed. And we have a JV in Illinois that has some issues we can get into too. So anyway, this was up until this point, everything we were doing ourselves. I started reading a lot more books about multifamily. I love this book, Crushing It in Apartments and Commercial Real Estate by Brian Murray. This was a mindset shift too. It's okay, Michael's doing all this underwriting. Again, he's the mechanical engineer. He's the numbers guy. We're spending all this time evaluating a 4-unit. It's almost the same amount of time underwriting like a 20-unit too. So that's a great book if nobody's read that there. So what are you doing? Michael's clicking buttons here.
Looking at the questions at the same time.
Well, get out of there. I can't move it. All right, so we started reading more books on this, and this is when we joined. Most people in this group know what MIH is. I started looking at a bunch of different groups. There's tons and tons of educational groups out there. We felt that we had self-educated ourselves enough that we definitely didn't need to start in a group that's like, what's wholesaling? What's a BRRRR? We really wanted to join a group where people were doing deals. We wanted to grow with like-minded people. We wanted to do more deals and with trustworthy people with the same morals and ethics, which again, trust but verify. But most people in this group are awesome. So we joined MIH. We started networking, a lot of networking. We love networking. We literally use date nights to go out and talk to people. I'll talk about real estate for hours and hours just because I'm so passionate about it. So it's really fun to get out and go hang out with other people. Obviously, we've met a lot of you in person through various networking events, and we just love to do it. So this is how we started getting partnerships and deals and building our team. So we talk about team building, and Michael and I obviously are a team. We're married. We're parents together, but we're also business partners together. I think that's one of the great strong things about our relationship too, because we truly enjoy doing this together, and we both are very active in it, but in very different ways. So in a team, you want to have people that are good at different things. It increases productivity. We have different skills, different expertise. It increases our efficiency too. So Michael's obviously the underwriter. He's the day-to-day manager, even with our JVs and the bigger GP syndication. He's on the phone with the 212 unit at least every single week, helping with different asset management strategies too. Again, the one that's doing a lot of the networking. We do capital raising, educating other people, and the Mind Shift to Millions with Lauren. So whether it's just ourselves and our relationship, or when you're looking for other people on a team, you want people that, at least for me, I did the DISC assessment. I'm a D personality for anybody that knows what the DISC assessment is. Well, I was gonna say, so when I got my results, I was like, Michael, look at these results. And he's, holy shit, this is absolutely you. I'm like, this also explains why he calls me a dictator sometimes. Like my background is German. I'm not from Germany, but that's the family roots. He's like, you're such a German dictator sometimes. So yes, I'm a D personality. Michael is not, right? But it's good because if both of us were, we probably would have never even got married. We never would have had kids, or we'd definitely be divorced. So you want different people on your team that can balance each other out, right?
Yeah. Now, since we're talking about teams, guys, and you guys show those beautiful pictures, what I like everyone to do for the next 15 seconds is turn on your camera. We're going to take a phenomenal group picture.
Thank you, Alex.
Of the call. And we're going to get this on social media here. All right. Here we go.
Everybody, please turn on your camera for a couple seconds.
Let's turn things on. Here we go.
You all look good.
All right. Everyone's amazing. In 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's roll.
All right. Michael's got to click back to screen share here.
Let's see. Yeah, I just want to add something about the team here, because obviously we were trying to scale at we have now a lot of units locally, and we're involved in multiple syndications and so on, but we're obviously trying to grow our own team. Right now, we are using 3 VAs. I know, Alex, you might wonder why 3.
2 from Alex. We didn't go behind your back. One's an old all pair.
We have 3 VAs and 1 au pair. 1 au pair for the kids because we have 3 kids. They're young.
Yeah, she can't work 24/7,
So-
which, you know, the 7-year-old's watching them upstairs, but she is one of our huge Who Not Hows, if you haven't read that book by Dan Sullivan.
So we have 2 VAs from Alex. One that works on my e-commerce fashion website. She does 95% of the work. Jovi. We have one that works for you on the marketing side of
Mind Shift to Millions with Lauren and I, and yeah.
And we have a third one, which actually used to be an au pair for us. She's in business school and she's helping me with team management. So she works on the contracts, she looks at all the administration, the bookkeeping, and so on. And ideally, if she would move to the US, I want her to be my property manager.
That's going to talk about that later, but that's our next step visionary. Michael's self-managing himself over 50 properties here in Pennsylvania. Obviously, we're not the ones managing boots on the ground for Kansas City and Indianapolis and stuff. We have other people in place there, but.
So we're trying, a lot of people tell us, how do you do everything, especially for regarding Lindsey?
People think we're crazy. We are, but.
There's clearly people supporting us and we're trying to grow that team, especially locally. We're not doing everything, and it's important for us to, again, be on the right side of the quadrant, having employees that can help us support the growth.
You can't do everything yourselves, despite me trying to sometimes. And that's a hard thing for me to give up personally, is giving other people trust in the reins, because I do have trust issues too. But it's just really vetting and finding people that have the same vision and are going to get things done too. So it's a trial and error sometimes, but yeah, you can't grow and you can't do everything yourselves. So this is when we started getting into joint ventures. Our very first JV is that top left one with Alex. We own this building with Alex and some other partners here. It's an 8-unit. This is going to be a burr. We haven't done the refinance yet. And we have, what else do we have? We have a 17-unit we mentioned in Scranton. We're doing some industrial warehouses. We have a 21-unit hotel, bar, brewery, which is in Fox Lake. Grand Oak Hotel, it's a horrible deal. We can talk about that to anybody who wants to know some of the issues that we're having there. This really came down to not vetting the operator and trusting the partner and being undercapitalized. We're trying to sell this property right now, but this is definitely our worst deal. We were sold on it that we wouldn't, you know, do too much. Obviously it's a JV, so by definition, any JV, you need to have some active involvement. It's turned into Michael having a full-time job with this right now, trying to save a sinking ship. So not all deals are great, but again, it comes back to really finding people who are underwriting correctly, who are managing correctly, and who are trustworthy, which this guy wasn't, right? And we also have, we just bought an 8-unit in Plains, Pennsylvania with Taylor, Ryan, and Christina. We bought that in March. This thing is going to be a cash cow, just like our 4-unit and 10-unit. Michael has been actively managing this thing from day one. It's the same contractors that we used on the 10-unit, and the thing looks absolutely amazing. Oh, I forgot I put this picture in again. I did this late last night. This was the building. We got it. This was also an off-market deal. I had sent a letter to a guy. We wanted his 16-unit. He didn't answer us. We really wanted the 16-unit. So we drove by. This guy was on a tractor, big straw hat. Michael's, oh, do you think that's the owner? And I'm like, I have heels. He's in a field. I'm like, I don't know. Usually I'm the one that's, oh yeah, go talk to. I just wasn't in the mood that day. And for some reason, Michael was. Divine intervention. So we stopped in this parking lot. Michael walks across the field to this guy. They start talking, and then it's been like 20 minutes, and now I'm getting like, I'm having phone. I'm like, what are they talking about? Maybe we're about to buy it. I don't know. So I walk over in my heels, and the guy's, yeah, I'm not ready to sell the 16-unit, but I have this 8-unit in Plains, and this is what we bought. So it was, how many were rented? 4 were rented.
So
the whole,
the guy owned the building for almost 40 years, which is what we like, because usually they don't really do anything in them. They are dated. So they were like 1970 style. They were decent, like the pictures top left, it's after the demo, but they were in decent shape, but again, very dated, and he didn't have the marketing tools to actually put more people in, and so he had no debt on it. So basically only 4 tenants were still in there at the time of purchase, which we actually like, because we can start the renovation right away. My fear, and that comes from the background of buying properties at $2,500 a unit, and then $5,000, and then $25,000. This one we bought it for $80,000 a unit, which sounds maybe more like in line with what people buy these days. And I'm not used to buy properties that expensive.
we're used to cheap stuff.
But at the end of the day, and I know Adar is on the call and he probably thinks the same way here, but because he's pretty good at buying things very cheap. But for me, just buying at $80K a unit, I'm like, is that gonna work? But I,
I'm surprised you agreed to it, actually. But
yes,
I'm glad
you
we did.
didn't negotiate too much on it. But the point is, when you look at, we're changing our strategy right now. We're moving from those C-class areas to more B-A class. And
That's a big point of this. This was the worst thing on the block. All the other, actually, our lawyer lives in this neighborhood. A lot of the houses around it have pools. There's a beautiful park. So this was the eyesore of the neighborhood. And we've had so many neighbors come up saying, thank you for fixing this place now.
so rents at the time when we purchased were at $675, okay, and including the water, for instance. So very low for the area. And I thought we could get 1,300, but because I'm not too familiar with dealing with B and A class areas, and I didn't realize
You underwrote it.
there are actually people making good money. Doctors, nurses, professionals that can afford rents at $1,500. So we actually redid all the apartments semi-premium, and we are achieving $1,550, $1,600.
The last rent, the last contract that Michael just got signed this week, it's pre-lease. So we're not even done. We are almost done the last apartment, the 8th one. We redid everything, all 8 units, and we're on the last one. But Michael's been so good, he's been pre-releasing them. So the last one was for $1,600. So we're beating our pro forma underwriting on these two. This thing's going to be absolutely 100% cash out. Refi.
So we're about $125K a unit after rehab, and we have rents in the $1,550, $1,600. If you do underwriting, you'll figure out that it works fairly well. We needed to have the property appraised for the construction loan at $1 million. It got appraised to 1.4 with those $1,500 range. And again, when I underwrote this deal, I thought we would get maybe $1,300 to get to the $1 million valuation. So we're actually, again, achieving a much higher NOI than expected, and we should be in very good shape to refi in the next.
We redid the fronts, all the landscaping, the parking lots. There's 2 buildings like this. There are 2 kind of mirror images. There's 4 in each building.
Just to conclude, it's not just about buying at a certain price per unit. It's also considering what's the maximum rent you can get in a specific area and what do you need to put in the units to get there. And again, those ones didn't have washer and dryer. We opened walls to make it like modern living room, kitchen, sunrooms. It's one big modern units. We are very good with marketing. I do on the listings, I had those renderings, virtual staging things, which again, we were able to pre-lease all the units. We're full and we still have 2 to finish. So we were able to secure the lease way ahead of time. So
that's good. But these things, you get a lot of value out of them, which is why we still like to do some of these smaller ones, JVs. Obviously, we do syndications too. In general, we're not pulling out 100% of our money in less than a year on the bigger syndications, but we do a lot of syndications. We're GPs on all of them, as well as we put our own money into an LP spot. Ethically, I think that's right. If we're raising on a deal, we're going to put our own money into it. Because if I'm not putting my own money into it, it means I don't believe in this deal. I'm not going to bring other investors' money into it. So we have with Sharpline, with Marco, and a lot of other people that are in MIH as LP positions, 40 unit, 72 unit. We have 110 unit with other partners, not Sharpline Group in South Carolina. This is part of that South Carolina portfolio and like Waterboro, South Carolina. We have another 144 unit in KC with Sharpline and a 212 unit in KC. This is an interesting, so this is the 212 unit portfolio. We own it. It is now, thank God, doing very well, but this is another lesson in vetting partners, trusting people too much, and especially about managing properties. This 212 unit, the lead sponsor, I'm not going to say a name, but a lot of people know who he is on this call. He basically still has a full-time job, not in real estate. Good sales guy, trusted him, got this property. We had third-party property manager. It was 96% occupied when we bought it. We went down to 82%. Not managed well whatsoever. Got another property management company. Terrible. Finally removed him as the managing manager early summer after a lot of issues just to remove the guy as managing manager. Since then, one of the other GP partners, and again, we've been on weekly calls, if not more, to right this sinking ship. We had a lot of investor money into it, lost a lot of sleep at night. I'm the fiduciary of their money. I take this very personally. In any case, being actively managed by other people on the team and in-house property management teams, since we can now make decisions without going through that person. We're back up to 96% occupied. The place is just looking wonderful now. Thank God it's been turned around. So our goal is to keep up this NOI the way it is and maybe potentially put it on the market in the spring of next year. Again, managing, you can't underestimate this beautiful portfolio, but I said it before, if you're not managing right, you're going to just run it into the ground. Doing well now. I don't know if you want to have anything else to say.
Yeah, I think the key thing, and I remember Alex telling us after the first deal we did together, how he did a background check on us. And I think after it was funny when he said that face to face, but
we're sitting at the table eating. I'm like, you did what? I'm like, well, we passed, so we're good.
I think that's the right things to do. Maybe not always screen, but build a relationship with people. That's why I don't want to raise for any project before we have met the people multiple times and understand how they work.
Well, and we have the core group that we're doing projects with, and that's it now.
Their ethical behavior, and obviously some of the deals we add the cash versus maybe FOMO, we put money like the hotel deal.
The JV hotel, we're probably about to lose $200K on that property. We didn't bring investor money. This was just obviously a JV. So it's a life lesson for sure.
The vetting process, understanding, like for this instance, the 212 unit, you can't manage a 212 unit
while you
if
have
you're
a
not
full-time
full-time
job.
employees.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a lesson learned. You don't want to be with, the main sponsor being someone working full-time as an employee and supposedly managing a property like that. It's not gonna work out.
So that one, thank God, is doing much better. The hotel, we got to get rid of that. We do a lot, right? I like to paint. Obviously, I'm in charge of the hospitals. We got kids. We work out. That's one of the things with the Peloton. We talk about health and wealth. That's actually one of the real estate summits that Robert Musso and I are putting together in November. It's very important to do other things outside too. With the Peloton, it's really cute. We have yoga mats for all the kids now. So at nighttime, we'll put a Peloton workout on the TV, and Luca's doing it with us, Michael and I. It's fun. So I guess the point of this is people see this and they see what we do on social media and they think, oh my God, how do they do everything? This is all success. They don't see all this other shit that's underneath, like the tip of the iceberg, right? They don't see the times Michael and I are fighting. They don't see the times where we're talking about we're about to lose $200K on the JV. They don't see me stressing about the investors' money in the early spring. They don't see all the work that they put in. Like again, last night I'm making this PowerPoint presentation at 10 o'clock. They don't see all of this behind the risks that we're taking. Michael taking calls at 2 a.m., managing these tenants that we have. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of grit. It's a lot. I can't stress that enough. So you need to have teams. You need to have other people in place to help you with this. Otherwise, you cannot be successful. Our why, this is really why we're doing it. We're doing it for our family. Our kids, I don't know if this was during the recording or not, but Luca, our 7-year-old, that 8-unit JV that we're about to refi, he came to closing. He was shaking the seller's hand. Funny story with that too. I was like, Luca, write him a letter about how we want to buy a 16-unit. So after we closed on the 8-unit, I have something for you. And he handed it. And the wife and him read this letter and said, thank you for selling us your 8-unit. Can we buy your 16-unit? And it had like little people with thumbs up and stuff. His wife loved it. We will definitely sell it to you first when we're ready. So we're teaching stuff. He shook all the lawyers' hands, the bankers' hands and everything. Like, we don't want them to be spoiled little brats growing up. Like, they have chores. Like, we want to make sure that they are not taking things for granted. I forget what book I read one time. Whoever it was said that they based part of the kids' allowance on what book they read that week about finance or mindset or motivation. So our 7-year-old, he's just finally starting to read now, and our 6-year-old is learning, but that's definitely something we want to do. Part of their allowance as they get older, it's going to be doing some type of financial education and self-help type of books going forward. So this is just my humble advice. Again, from the beginning, we are not experts on one single thing or anything. Everybody's situation is different. My advice, just don't give up. Get started. I don't care what you're doing. If you haven't invested in anything yet, just start. Find somebody you trust, do a deal with them, get your feet wet. If you don't want to be active digging sewer lines and stuff like Michael or a JV, do a passive investment syndication, get a team.
I will say through the examples, we started with 2 properties, each $2,500. And okay, it's not where we create most of the wealth, but every layer of this journey has brought so much experience
That's part of the iceberg too.
to bring us to the next level and next level. So start small.
We had to do those small deals to get where we are now. I don't regret doing in the moment. I regretted doing some of the things, but looking back, I don't regret any of the deals we did do. Even the JV, like this, I will remember this for my life, and I will be much picky with the deals and who I partner with going forward. So to me, and honestly, us losing money in a JV deal would not and does not at all hurt me more than when we were about to lose money on the 212 unit where I brought investor money into it. So everything's a learning point in life, I'd say. We talk about prioritize health. Consistency is key. Again, it goes back to just start and be consistent. Like you're not going to become a millionaire overnight with, in general, one deal. You're not going to have all your passive income taken care of with one deal. It's that layering effect. It's the consistency of doing a deal or multiple deals every year over and over again. Ask for help. This is hard for me sometimes as my D personality, right? But you need to be able to ask for help when you need it. Network, get a mentor. I don't care what it is in any point in life. Like everybody, as they level up, Bill Gates has a mentor, right? Like everybody has a mentor in something in life. I'm going to start doing jujitsu or something. I'm going to get a mentor in that. So whatever it is and wherever you are in life, get a mentor, get a good group to network with. I know, Alex, you do your GoBundance. You're around other people with like good mindsets and professionals. Get your group. Keep getting your group as you start growing in different areas of your life. That's just my advice. I don't know. Do you have any other advice? Because these are the ones I made up.
No, good
No,
job.
this is huge, guys.
So yeah, again, pick what you're going to do. Active, passive. We do both. We do a combination depending on where we're at that day, that month, during the year. So pick what's going to work for you. And maybe right now you want to be active, and then something changes, you do some other thing, and then you become more passive. That's our ultimate, I'd say, 10-year goal, to really just do passive investments, be KPs on things with good partners. But we're not there yet. We're young, God willing. We have a long life ahead to do more projects. But as it is right now, we're very active. Our next step ourselves, we're talking about making our own in-house here in Pennsylvania property management company. Because again, right now, Michael is managing that with VAs. We need more help, and especially as we grow our portfolio. Basically, the next deal we buy here locally, we're going to be hiring some people and starting the process for that. You need a mentor if you're just getting started. Again, Lauren and I, top left and middle there, we mentor coaching academy.mindshifttomillions.com. I spelled millions wrong. Don't go to that website. But this is great. We have both modules we've created, go at your own pace, as well as we do an 8-week guided study program for students. 3 of our students, we just finished our first group of them. They're under contract or bought their own properties. Really proud of everybody. It's been fun to go through that. We do have some current investment opportunities. We have an industrial, which we didn't even get into industrial, but that's a whole other awesome asset class. That's in Lehigh, Pennsylvania, where we live, within an hour of us, as well as a 60-unit multifamily. And these are just for LP passive investments. If anybody is interested in joining, reach out. These will be closing this year, beginning of December. Eric's working on the industrial one with us, so you can ask him questions as well. Also, if anybody wants to come to anything live, Robert Musso, Jen, and myself are doing a 3-day real estate summit. The dates are going to be November 22nd, 3rd, and 4th. November 22nd, it's a Friday. We're starting with a kickoff gala. We're doing really awesome food. We're getting a DJ, kind of a big, nice, fun blowout party that we're going to have, networking really. The 23rd is a Saturday. It's education all day with some really cool breakout sessions, talking about health aspects, some good like health smoothies and stuff like that, dinner at nighttime. And then the 24th, it's a Sunday morning. We're doing an explore and tour of some of the properties in Allentown, kind of Lehigh area, and a brunch. So should be pretty fun. We'll have some more info coming out about that. And again, it's at the Allentown, PA, the Renaissance Hotel. Yeah, connect with us. We love to network. Obviously, we're over time here. Sorry, Alex, but we'll talk and talk. We tried to go fast through this, but our website, just Michael and ourselves, cloverkeycapital.com. You can go there. There's an investor portal. We send out newsletters and stuff, so you can just follow along with our crazy journey here. Calendly. You can book a call with me too, again, just to connect on Facebook, Instagram, do tons of podcasts and stuff. I talk about some other stuff in any of them. Did a Bigger Pockets one last year, which was pretty fun. So get out of there. You're back in the chat. I think I had one more slide. There we go. I think that's it.
There's that driver right there.
Yeah, exactly. Lauren, Marco, and I are almost done writing another book. It's called Attracting Capital, the fast track guide for funding, finance, and growth in real estate and beyond. I've been working on that on and off a lot the last couple of weeks. I'm writing a lot of the chapters. Lauren, my house, she's doing a lot of the editing. God bless Marco. He's throwing like a whole bunch of stuff at us, and we're trying to capture his thoughts into an actual paragraph or chapter. So that'll be out probably the end of this month, early next month at the latest. We're in the final editing stages here. That's it.
I'll tell you guys, I'm so excited that for today's call. And today's call, I knew it was going to be great, but this just blew my expectations of what you guys have, how prepared you guys were. And this shows that's how you guys roll. That's how you operate.
That's how, again, Michael's, oh, you signed us up for this. And he's asking me the last couple of days, are you preparing? I was like, oh, I'll do it Friday night. It's fine. It's fine.
But from the moment we've met a few years ago to now and watching your journey, I'm genuinely so happy for you guys. And there's we could hop on any deal together. And
I trust Alex. For anybody that knows, he's fast too.
I have to do a background check on you, though.
You know what? We laugh about the background checks, right? But that's actually, full disclosure, that was one of the things I learned from Alex too. Like everybody
it's in the book, The Attracting Capital. Alex, I have an example of you.
The background check is extremely important. It's not that you don't trust, but Lindsey, like you said, it's trust but verify. People can project themselves one way, and you just never know what's going on behind the scenes. So extremely valuable. And thank you both for coming on and honestly providing all this education and sharing your journey with us. It's been fantastic. I'm proud to say that you guys are both my partners, hopefully on future deals and certainly on current deals that we're working on, but just a fantastic job.
Yeah. Hey, so we have Hadar over here has a question.
Yes.
Hadar, you asked about the buying criteria. What buying criteria is good for rep status?
Good question. And again, we're talking about like our tax benefits. So yeah, our criteria has changed.
For just the rep status? Oh.
Cost seg is one thing.
Okay, so obviously rep status, you gotta be active in the deal. So I spend a lot of times just dealing with the contractors as a project manager and doing the asset management, the property management, like the 8plex we just mentioned about in Plains with Christina and Ryan and Taylor. I am the one bringing all the tenants in and doing, again, I'm on site every day with the contractors to make sure everything is going on track. So I'm, again, very active on that. So I qualify just by the hours. But the investment criteria, again, is to make sure we are able to do a bird deal and extract our capital fairly quickly after we stabilize the property. So that's my goal. Now, again, we're changing we're trying to move from Class C to nicer areas just to get a better, because we're getting more and more tenants on their own umbrella. So I'm trying to reduce the stress of maintenance and stress of tenants. So I'm trying to improve the quality of tenants and make sure that what I really like, honestly, is like really good buildings and have new plumbing, new elec, new everything.
It's decreasing our future capex too, because we're just redoing everything. We know what we did, we know what we put into it. And even for sale value in the future, it's a whole documented book about everything we've done, like the before and after pictures too.
So we go in those properties, we buy them, obviously. We don't buy at premium market price and where you have very little rooms to increase the rents. We try to buy them as low as possible when you have clearly see that there is a huge gap between the current rents and what you can get, the max rents of the market. And then as an engineer, I redesign the building to maximize the rent and minimize the expenses. I see it, to me, I look at the building, it's a mathematical equation. That's the way I see it. And then I redesign the buildings to maximize the NOI, create the value, and then down the road, refi, get the cost seg to lower our tax burden and repeat. The only difference is we're trying to do it in a nicer area and removing the potential problems with maintenance and poor quality tenants. To answer your question, or you have more specific other?
He's giving you the thumbs up.
Awesome. Michael and Lindsey, thank you so much for hopping on. We really appreciate you guys. And for everyone that hopped on this call, Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next call.
We appreciate all you guys. Thank you for coming out and listening to us, even though a lot of you already know our story. Alex, Eric, I truly value our friendship. My brother's on the call, but also our business partner, Christina Kovacs. I have to say, with this 8 unit, she is so organized. She's so great putting together even our itinerary for our weekly calls and everything. So again, it comes back to great partners too. It really does. So thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Okay.